I'm here in California in the United States of America, considered one of the greenest places for the forward looking economy which California has. India is also trying hard to be as green as it can be. But with a population of 1.4 billion people, it certainly takes a lot of effort. I'm here at Santa Monica in California, and I have with me Mr. David Abel. He's the CEO and founder of Verde Exchange. Verde means green, which is why if you see behind us there is greenery. And we are going to be talking about the green economy in California, in United States of America, and how India and America can together try and make the world better. One world, one future, and one earth. Thanks a lot, Dable, for speaking to me.
Mother, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's a very significant honor to be with you. And we at the Verde Exchange have been 17 years, and only in the last two have we begun to realize the importance of India being a part of our conference. Obviously, our former mayor of Los Angeles is the U.S. ambassador to India, and we are looking forward to growing that relationship because we have a lot in common.
Certainly. Now, tell me a little bit about Verde Exchange, and Verde means green. And you've been holding these meetings and think tanks and an institution. What does Verde Exchange do?
Well, we have a mission to bring together the people that are the market makers of what's in market, about to be in market, and needed in market in the green economy. And that green economy, as you well know, and your listeners and readers, viewers know, is a multi-trillion-dollar economy. It's energy, it's water, it's transport, it's green build, it's blue tech, it's finance. And by the way, the IIT graduates from India dominate in this sphere in California. And we are beginning relationships with them to bring them into the discussion about what should be in market and how to expand those markets.
Now, can you explain to our viewers who may not be very familiar uh, how green is the Californian economy? Because many people know California has a bent of mind towards being the first for many things green. But tell me some of the highlights.
Well, I would say I want to start with metropolitan Los Angeles. 40 years ago, we had air pollution that made it very difficult to see the mountains, which are in eyesight normally. And we began a movement to clean the air, and that movement and clean the water. And that movement has grown over 40 years through multiple political leadership parties to try to clean the air, change our reliance on carbon, change our reliance on imported water and recycle and reuse that water, we have a reputation to be a car-centric city, change our relationship to how we drive and what fuels those drives. We have huge ports, and we want to change how green those ports. And so that effort has been multi-decades, Republican, Democrat, doesn't really matter. And I've seen that generation. I've been part of that generation. And I am impressed by how challenging yet successful we've been in pushing the envelope to modify behavior. You know, it's very difficult to have people change their mind about some abstraction that's coming at them, but we've had immediate visualization of what it means to change, and we've had weather events that have affected us in impressed fires and floods, sea level rise that we've had to deal with, and we've had the political will and political leadership to do that, and we want to expand the business part of that, make sure the business relationships that drive that change are incorporated and bought into by the public and by industry.
Has the public been receptive to these ideas? Because there is a lot of resistance sometimes
Sure.
in the public.
Sure. Well, of course, we all were a little resistant to change, aren't we? But yes, I think the politicians have stuck with this in California for, again, 4 decades, different parties, because the public will is there. They can see the challenge. We know the challenge. And every time there's a fire that requires evacuation or takes out homes, Every time there's a hurricane that came through Los Angeles this past year that never happened before, people respect that phenomenon and they want to see delivery. Now, how we do that and how we inch along on our way to change those habits and behaviors with the right technologies and the right practices, that's always a challenge, and it's up to the public and up to the leadership to rise to that challenge.
See, India, especially New Delhi and northern India, is grappling with a lot of air pollution, and a lot of that air pollution comes from vehicular pollution, tailpipe. And you rightly said Los Angeles at one point was facing air pollution, and right now we have a blue sky. How did you get your blue skies back, and how did you get the automakers to listen to having standards?
Well, again, we did it through pushing the envelope, setting goals, challenged all the time by current practices in the auto industry, many lawsuits, many federal and state differences that had to be worked out, but the steady beat of setting goals, showing progress, moving the goalposts a little further along, pressing the goals, and seeing the results, being able to see the sky, as you just described, is a powerful political opportunity to take advantage of. So that leadership has been steady, and now it's a new generation that's coming along. And by the way, there's global interest in what we've done here in Los Angeles and California. Your being here is part of that. And the Japanese and the Canadians and the Europeans and now India. We had Tata at our conference because we're very interested in the cars they're making and the part of the market that we've got Teslas, but we don't have the market that really reaches most people. We're very interested in what India is trying to do in this space, and we want to adopt that, incorporate that, and keep this movement going.
What about power? Because the power sector is an area which consumes and also causes a lot of pollution. How did California go more green? Is it towards solar, or is it renewables, all said? Or how did it go forward?
Well, it went forward with solar and renewables. I have to say, Lava, that my son, who's now 43, really taught me. He's now in the solar business, which used to be very strong in India. He's in the solar business, and we have sun here when we don't have smog. We have sun here, and we've really made it a requirement to have solar on our residential buildings and increasingly to power our cities. And on renewable energy, we have now more renewable energy than we can deal with at the moment. I mean, we're looking for ways to utilize that renewable energy, and we've made commitments across the sectors in energy and water and transport to be more reliant on electrification, sometimes hydrogen and electrification, but we've just constantly moved the bar and shown some progress, made some progress, and incorporated. So right now I would say California is not the leader in the world, but it's the leader in North America in this space.
Certainly. Well, let's come to hydrogen a little later. Let's look at solar. And there is one thought which has been brewing for a while. India and America both have a 12-hour, almost 12-hour difference. So when there is night in America, there's daylight in India. When there's daylight in India, there is night in America. And solar is all about intermittent electricity generation. Right. And many people have said that the time has come for a one world, one grid. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept, but essentially saying that when there is surplus power in a part of the globe where there is daylight, and then you can supply that power to certain areas where there is at night, when there is surplus base power there. So essentially using the day and night from across the globe and bridging that using a one world, one grid. Since you're not familiar, and I'm ceding that idea to you.
We're going to have a panel on this right now, and you're going to be on this panel moderating it. I think it's a fabulous idea. I've not heard it before. We have a concept like that called One Water. And One Water, because Southern California is really a semi-desert, we've been importing water for 70 years from the Colorado River, from our mountains in Northern California, and now we've realized we ought to rely more on recycling and reuse water, and so the slogan is One Water. But I'm going to borrow your idea here And we're going to try to incorporate it in our conference because you're right. We've been turning to batteries and storage as a way to deal with that intermittence. But if there's a way to globalize this, we're all for it.
Yeah, see that's a concept which even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been pitching forward for. You know, he brought forward the International Solar Alliance as part of the UN system to give the world more solar energy, and India is now a leader in solar power. Even though we don't make our own cells,
Sure, we don't either.
most people are still importing from China. So the beneficiary for all solar is China. But let's not grudge it to them. They have the technology and the wherewithal. This concept of a one world, one grid is taking shape. And if it does, right now the challenge, we are in a discussion. So it's the challenge is transmission, because over long distances, how do you transmit? But I'm sure with smart engineers, there would be solutions which can emerge at some point. When people can talk of space-based solar power, there could certainly be Earth-based solar power across the world.
Well, I have two thoughts, Pallava. First of all, I believe that on this visit you've met with the people at JPL. So between the people at JPL and the IIT graduates that are in California, I'm sure we can solve this problem.
I'm sure the brains I met at JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory of NASA, and the folks back in India who are pushing the frontier on more efficient energy systems. When they work together, they can do wonders. It's an IIT graduate who made the helicopter, which is solar powered and currently flying on the Martian surface. So when you have the right minds, right solutions can emerge.
Right, absolutely. And that's what our conference is trying to capture. That talent, it's what's in market, about to be in market, and needed in market. We like to cover all three of those sectors. And you're at the about to be and needed in market part, and we're very eager to incorporate that.
Now, also, let's talk a little bit about, because the first electric cars, in a way, emerge in USA and mostly in California. And most people think of Tesla as the shining example of electric cars. Do you think electric cars are a solution, or they only push the source of pollution away from the tailpipe to a distance away?
Well, first of all, we'd like to call it zero emission cars. Electrification is part of that, zero emission cars. And we've made massive investments in last mile transport, in public transport. Los Angeles, known globally as a car-centric city, has built 7 lines of new public rail in our city and a built-out metropolitan area of 11 million people. We've been building rail, but we need to change our reliance on cars that use fuel with carbon, and we're doing that systematically. I think our governor has said we'll eliminate combustion engines by 2035. That's a pretty difficult goal, but it's a goal you set and try to reach. And there's an auto show taking place next week in Los Angeles, and you will see almost every brand introducing zero emission vehicles into this market. Not true 10 years ago. So the public sees that change, responds to that change. Now we need the infrastructure to support that change so it's very easy to use. And that's what we're investing in now.
There's also people are looking at moving away from, in a way, from electric to hydrogen.
Right.
Are you excited about hydrogen, whatever the color may be? But what about, are you, as somebody who's looked at this, is hydrogen a possible solution for the world?
Pallava, I've been running our conference, the Data Exchange, for 17 years. In the last 2 years, we're a platform. I've seen the emergence of hydrogen as a dominant opportunity that's globally in being invested in. We have 26 Japanese hydrogen companies came last May and coming again next year. We had 3 hydrogen mayors from cities in Japan and Hawaii and California on a plenary panel. It's happening on the industrial side. It's always been on the industrial side. It's happening somewhat in transport, but more on the heavy-duty trucks side of it than on the cars and transport. But it's a major force now in the market, and I would say that if you're not thinking about and following what's happening in hydrogen, you're going to miss a major trend here in the field of energy and sustainability.
Again, see, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government has made a green hydrogen mission, which is essentially pumping in a lot of money towards development, research and development, and also for putting in transportation fleets which are powered with hydrogen. But hydrogen has its challenges. Are you aware of some of them, and can you list them for us?
Well, I'm not an expert, I'm just the host, but I would say that we've got a cost issue, we've got some issues of how it's handled, we've got issues of how to turn it into ammonia and transport it. We have lots of discussions in terms of the Quad, or Australia and Japan and India, in terms of shipping movements and green hydrogen shipping movements that get special treatment. But there are price challenges. I'm on the market side of this. The price challenges right now, and driving that price down and getting it to a point where it can be scaled is our biggest challenge, I believe.
Let's shift a little bit towards the markets and how carbon trading, carbon taxation, and the whole issue about the green economy. Do you think that the world is really moving away from carbon, or are we still in the area of rhetoric and not much happening?
I'd say we're somewhere in between. I'd say we just did an interview with some folks from the Emirates and Abu Dhabi, and they are service the oil and gas industry in that area, and they are growing exponentially. At the same time, they're trying to pivot their companies and pension funds into renewables. But it's a pragmatic step by step. They are not renouncing oil and gas. It doesn't sound like a market strategy for California, but as a global strategy, you have to appreciate that and recognize that's still going on. California used to be a very central place for 100 years for oil and gas. We've almost banned the development of new oil and gas in California, just to show you the policy trends that affect the market. But globally, absolutely still there, still a challenge for us all.
What is your feeling about, there are two sources for base power which are reliable: coal, gas, and the third is nuclear. Base power is the most important power because you can have intermittent power, which is renewable, but base power. Is there a feeling that nuclear is going to make a comeback, especially fission nuclear or maybe fusion at some point?
Very good question, Palava. I would say I have to answer that first as a Californian. In California, we have rejected nuclear. After being a leader in it, we have rejected nuclear. Globally, nuclear is significant, and we have pink hydrogen, which is powered by nuclear. The labs of California, Berkeley Lab and Lawrence Livermore, are working on fusion. But I tried to bring in a panel to my conference 6 or 7 years ago about nuclear. Sandia Lab, people from Europe and New York, and my California participants wouldn't go into the session. It's sort of a red line for them. But if you're asking me just as a host of a platform, nuclear has to be a part of the solution somewhere. I don't believe it'll be in California.
Let it not be in California. There are other places. See, India is very energy hungry, and today India's reliance on coal is going to be there for the next 50 years. There is no way India can say we can't give electricity to 1.4 billion people. And within that, nuclear is a very important component. Outside China, I think India has the largest number of nuclear reactors being made, and 20 of them coming in a fleet mode, one after another. So there are 700 megawatt reactors, and there are others, larger ones, which are coming. I understand Germany, California, where some of the energy appetite is satiated. You can be choosy about the options. But for a country like India, I don't think we can be too choosy. But nuclear has been very safe in India. Nuclear reactors have given power, and they've given it very safely. And many parts of the world they have given safely. So I personally think nuclear is an option, and the moment we get fusion, that would be fantastic. But fusion is always 20 years away. whenever you talk about it, it's always under development. And let's hope for a breakthrough there.
Love, I want to comment on this. I'm a all and above strategy. That's the platform of the Third Exchange. But we all know that public opinion and public will are critical to making changes. I'm just giving you the microcosm of California, but I'm accepting that this is happening globally. Even now, the Japanese, after Fukushima, are trying to think about how they reintroduce, because of dependence, a nuclear option. But you have to have public will, and we need to help that.
How can Verde Exchange work with India as a country? I know when you're in California and you have your dialogue, you have Indians and people of Indian origin, but is there a possibility of being a dialogue between India and America using the Verde Exchange platform?
Well, we are definitely trying. We are just had a conversation a couple of days ago with the new Consul General from India in San Francisco, inviting him to the conference. The vice chair of the California Energy Commission is Indian. Much of the technology leadership of California is India. We invited in a whole panel this last May to try to introduce all the opportunities that are there. I don't think we touched a little edge of the opportunities. We want to grow those opportunities, and obviously at the political, defense, industrial space of the Quad, of Japan, India, Australia, and the United States, we're huge supporters of that. Trying to get political will behind that is the challenge, but we understand, I think our audience understands the opportunity and would love to pursue it.
And is there a better opportunity now that we have Ambassador Eric Garcetti, who used to be the mayor of Los Angeles, as the ambassador of the United States of America and India? So is there a higher chance and a higher possibility of having a Verde exchange between maybe California and New Delhi, or India and America?
Well, we would love that. If you can send him this broadcast to Eric and say, yes, we'd like you to be with the Consul General of India at the conference. We know him well. The agencies of Los Angeles, the largest public municipal water and power agency in the country, our ports, some of the largest in the country, all know Eric well. He appointed most of the leadership of those proprietary departments. He understands the opportunity really well. It's a question of his schedule and other obligations he has representing all of the United States. But it wouldn't be better, there couldn't be a better opportunity to have Eric with us in May, along with leadership of India. It would be, what they say in media, a home run.
Any message for Prime Minister Narendra Modi? He is a very green person by outlook. He is looking to have a very green economy, and his big motto is to have a zero defect and zero effect manufacturing with green energy. So any message from you, like you have a message for Eric, any message for Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Well, I hope in the near future our governor not only meets with the Premier of China, but meets with Modi in India to encourage the growth of this relationship. It's a fabulous opportunity. I think a growing number of civic leadership in California and Los Angeles have begun to realize that. We should have realized it decades ago, but Modi has introduced a whole new tone to that relationship, so commitment to that relationship, and anything we can do to entice him, to enlist a partnership and grow a partnership, it's on our agenda.
Thanks a lot for speaking to me, David.
Thank you. It's an
So
honor.
such a pleasure understanding how California is green, and how maybe lessons learned from California, especially for cleaning up the air pollution, could well be used by New Delhi and North India for cleaning up the air pollution, which is quite bad just now. And also, hopefully, at the summit level and at the level of the ambassadors, maybe there is something which can turn up, which can make something better, greener, cleaner. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Honored. Honored. Thank you.
So that was Mr. Abe telling us all about how California is green and how India can become a leader, which it really wants to be, and having a green and clean economy. So one earth, one future, and one family. That is what the motto should be for a clean and green world. At Santa Monica, in California, United States of America, Pallav Bagla. Thanks a lot, David.
Thank you.
Did